What does it look like when the government quietly admits it has been keeping secrets, and then still refuses to show you the most important part? Tonight we have that story and several others that remind us the strange is never really gone. It only waits for the right moment to surface again. This is Unexplained News Update. I'm Reese Halden. Tonight's rundown moves from official secrecy to online folklore, from roadside encounters in the Pacific Northwest to stone that was living wood 225 million years ago, and finally to the kind of end times language that used to stay at the edges of public life and no longer does. Let's get into it. The biggest story in this rundown is not that something strange was reported. It is that the government quietly released documents suggesting it knew far more than it ever admitted, and that even now, the most important questions remain unanswered. On April 14, 2026, the White House Office of Science and Technology Policy uploaded a batch of previously classified UAP-related files to a .gov portal. There was no press conference, no announcement, just a document dump sitting there for anyone paying close enough attention to find. The files span from 2012 to 2026. They include Navy sensor data, internal Pentagon emails, and a 2019 memo referencing a program called Kestrel. That memo is the one drawing the most attention. It states the program was deliberately kept outside the normal congressional appropriations process, specifically to prevent what it calls information spillage. In other words, the program was insulated from the people elected to oversee it. Senator Kirsten Gillibrand and Representative Tim Burchett both reacted strongly to the release. Some officials, meanwhile, pushed back and called it old information dressed in new packaging. The truth is probably somewhere in between, and that gap is the unsettling part. Because here is what the documents do not include. There are no photographs of recovered materials, no biological analysis, no confirmation of non-human bodies or craft. The release validates the existence of secret programs. It does not validate what those programs found. The documents prove the question was handled in secret. They do not answer it. That first story was about what is hidden in government records. This next one is stranger in a different way. It is living first in feeds, not files. The Fresno Nightcrawlers are back. If you have not seen the footage, picture this: a pair of pale, thin legs moving across a dark yard, with no visible torso above them. Just legs, walking. The original clip has been around for years, but right now it is cycling hard through Reddit, TikTok, and search traffic in a way that suggests a new wave of people are encountering it for the first time, and finding it just as difficult to dismiss as the first wave did. The article from Unexplained.co treats this as a live curiosity signal, not a confirmed creature sighting. And that framing is honest. There is no independent verification of the most dramatic interpretation. What there is an image that keeps returning because it resists easy explanation. It does not look like a person in a costume. It does not look like an animal. It looks like something designed by someone who had never seen a body before and got the legs roughly right. The real mystery here is not what it is. It is why this one keeps finding new audiences. Some images earn their longevity. The Fresno Nightcrawler's footage has been earning its return visits for more than a decade. And if one strange creature story unsettles you because of what you think you saw, the next one is unsettling for a different reason entirely. The unsettling part of this story is not that someone saw something in the Oregon woods. It is that something seemed to answer back. The report began on Reddit, picked up by the community tracking Northwest Bigfoot activity. A driver on a forest road in Oregon says a rock was thrown at their truck. Not dropped, not rolled. Thrown. The account places the source of that throw somewhere off the road, in the dark, between the trees. Now, the claim is unconfirmed. The account is community-driven and there are mundane explanations that the source material does not rule out. That matters, and it is worth saying clearly. But there is something about this report that sits differently from a blurry photograph or a distant sound in the brush. A rock thrown at a moving vehicle on a remote forest road implies proximity. It implies something that tracked the truck and decided to respond. The article connects this to a broader pattern of Bigfoot-adjacent reports in the Pacific Northwest in April 2026. Whether or not that pattern means anything, the setting alone does a lot of the work. A quiet road, trees close on both sides, and then something hits the metal. It is the kind of story that makes a quiet road feel occupied. From that roadside tension, we move to something older and much quieter. A landscape that makes time itself feel strange. Some mysteries are unsettling not because they are supernatural, but because geology can do things that feel supernatural when you really picture them. The current conversation centers on a petrified forest that is 225 million years old. That number alone should stop you for a moment. 225 million years ago, these were living trees, rooted, growing, photosynthesizing. Then, over vast stretches of time, mineral-rich water moved through the fallen wood, replacing the organic material cell by cell, molecule by molecule, until the wood became stone. The shape of a tree, the grain of the wood, all preserved in rock. The National Park Service has solid documentation on how petrification works, and the science is not in dispute. What is driving the current wave of attention is an alternative history discussion on Reddit that keeps asking a version of the same question. Why does the official explanation feel too small for something this strange? That stronger version of the claim, the one suggesting hidden knowledge or suppressed history, is not independently verified. The science is real. The conspiracy layer is speculation. But you do not need the conspiracy layer for this story to land. The genuine science is already almost impossible to hold in your head. A living forest, turned to stone, sitting in the desert for longer than mammals have existed. It leaves you with one of the oldest forms of wonder, something alive, made permanent. If a forest can turn to stone and still feel strange, the next question is whether some of our oldest built stone is hiding a stranger story still. In the mountains of Peru, there are stone walls that have been standing for centuries, some of them made of blocks so large and fitted so precisely that a sheet of paper cannot pass between them. No mortar, no visible tool marks that satisfy everyone, just stone against stone, locked together with a tightness that modern engineers still study. The theory circulating online right now is not new, but it is getting fresh attention. The idea is that the ancient builders of sites like Sacsayhuaman, Sacsayhuaman did not carve these stones into shape. They cast them. The argument goes that a lost geopolymer technology allowed builders to pour a stone-like mixture into forms and harden it in place, the same way we pour concrete today. That would explain the perfect fits. It would explain the lack of obvious quarry marks. It would mean the material science existed once and was forgotten. Mainstream archaeology does not accept the cast stone theory. The consensus holds that Andean builders were extraordinarily skilled craftspeople working with tools and methods we understand reasonably well. The alternative theory, for its part, remains unverified. No confirmed lab analysis of the blocks has produced results that rule out natural stone in favor of a cast material. What makes this story interesting is not whether the theory is right. It is the scale of the work itself. Blocks weighing tens of tons moved through mountain terrain, fit together with a precision that still invites the question, what did they know about working with stone that we have not fully recovered? That question is worth sitting with, even without an answer. From ancient stone, we move now to a very different kind of unease, one that is not about the past at all. The strange thing about end times language is not that it disappears, it is how quickly it returns when people feel history tightening around them. Calvary Chapel, the evangelical network with deep roots in American charismatic Christianity, has become a focal point for renewed end times discussion. The recent emphasis on rapture theology, on wars in the Middle East as prophetic markers, on Israel as a sign of the final countdown, as showing up again in sermons, in online communities, and in political commentary in a way that has not felt this active in several years. The Reddit discussions driving this story connect Calvary Chapel's framing to broader public anxiety. War, instability, the sense that large institutions are failing at the same time. Salon has covered how far-right Christian apocalypse politics have moved from the margins toward mainstream political language. The Wikipedia list of predicted apocalyptic dates, which stretches back centuries and includes dozens of failed countdowns, provides useful context here. This cycle has happened before. It will happen again. That does not make it less significant when it happens. To be clear, this is a story about the return of prophecy language, not about whether any specific prophecy is true. The people inside this conversation believe what they believe, and that belief deserves to be heard on its own terms. What makes it relevant here is the way that language moves through culture. When the world feels unstable, the idea that instability was predicted, that it is part of a design, becomes enormously appealing. The eerie part is not the theology. It is how quickly the countdown clock finds new listeners. And on that note, the end times conversation, as always, has not left. It only waited for the right moment to return. That is tonight's Unexplained News Update. From classified document dumps to roadside encounters, from stone forests to ancient walls and modern prophecy, what connects all of it is the feeling that the official version of things keeps leaving room for something else. If this episode was useful to you, the best thing you can do is follow the show wherever you listen and leave a rating or review. It genuinely helps other people find us. I'm Reese Halden. Stay curious, stay grounded, and I'll see you